March 22nd, 2021, the Houston Rockets beat the Toronto Raptors 117-99. But what's so special about this game? Wasn't it just another Monday night game in March? Well, this actually snapped a 20-game losing streak that the Rockets were on, which is one of the worst losing streaks in NBA history. Yeah, that's right, the same Rockets team that had a 3-2 series lead on a Dynasty Warriors team is now possibly the worst team in the NBA. But we're not going to go into what went wrong because it's pretty obvious. What we're going to go into is how they can make it back to the Western Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals. And I think they could do this as soon as 2025, which seems like a long ways away, but the teams that are champions and the teams get blown up, it takes decades for them to get back to form. So there are 4 things I think they need to do, and I'm very confident in this plan. And the first step actually ties into the losing streak. Christian Wood got hurt February 4th with an ankle injury, and due to this injury, he missed 17 games. They lost all 17 of those games, an additional 3 when he came back, but Christian Wood having a semi-breakout year with the Pistons, after a lot of stints in the G League, the Rockets took a chance on him with a 3-year, $41 million contract. He has shown glimpses of being a premier player in this league and might even be a max contract kind of guy before his next contract is due. So first and foremost, the Rockets need to develop him. And for 2 reasons. He's either going to be an all-star that's a part of the Rockets contending team in a few years, or he can be an incredible trade asset in his last year of his contract. Either way, they need to develop him, and they know they got a steal with a young, cheap, and wildly talented player, and he is the key to all of this. And the next person we're going to look at is John Wall. John Wall was coming off an Achilles injury, and there were a ton of question marks with how he'd perform. And despite not having the same athleticism he once had, he can still string together very nice games and can be a very productive point guard for the team. He came out way better than I thought he was going to. But let's look at some things. He isn't a point guard of a championship team. His contract is enormous, and there isn't much trade value for him. He currently makes $44 million a year, and as much as I love John Wall, that was a contract for a pre-injury John Wall for a bad franchise that just needed to pay him for some box office credibility. So I think the Rockets will have to keep John Wall till the summer of 2023 when his contract is done, but that's okay. There's a lot of work to do till then. He's a great veteran player to have around for the young guys and still be semi-box office, which leads me to my next step. Trade everyone else for draft picks. Keep Christian Wood and John Wall, and everyone else can go for as far as I'm concerned for first-round picks and young prospects. Kevin Porter, Eric Gordon, Daniel House, Dante Exum, everyone can go. You need currency when you're going into free agency, and the first-round draft picks and young promising players are the gold standard in the NBA. This is pretty shitty because you know you're going to be bad for a bit, but it's not tanking because the goal isn't to lose games. It's to start young and to develop players. This is all leading up to 1 year, though, where there is a huge splash that can be made, which leads us to our third step. There are some huge names in the 2023-2024 free agent class, including Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid, Jokic, Jeremy Grant, Miles Turner, and depending on some people that exercise their player options, they could also include Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, Jimmy Butler, Kristaps Porzingis, and Fred VanVleet. This is where you no longer have John Wall's contract, and it puts them in the most cap space in the entire league potentially to go out and spend big money on 1, 2, maybe even 3 of these names. And this is also where you get to make the decision on Christian Wood. Either sign him to a max contract or keep him for your championship push. And if not, he gets included into the last step, which is where you cash in all of your draft picks and all of your prospects from the previous years. This is very similar to what the Brooklyn Nets did. They spent years getting draft picks and players, and when they went into free agency, and unfortunately for the Houston Rockets fans, traded all their assets for James Harden, launching the Rockets into this situation in the first place. But once they get into this where they're out of John Wall's contract, they have to make a decision on Christian Wood. Everybody else, all the draft picks they've been trading for, all the young prospects they have, trade them all to fill out your roster and make a championship team. So after all of this, a 20-game losing streak looks really bad for a franchise and probably causes a lot of people to stress about their jobs, players and coaches included. But I think the Rockets still have the pieces to turn this all back around with some very savvy management. If they can develop Christian Wood, let John Wall play out his contract, get young players and win draft picks, and splurge on one of the best free agent classes in a while, use the rest of the assets to fill out a championship roster, I think they can be back to championship form in the matter of 4 years. And I'm not saying it's easier going to be a Houston fan. The key is patience in all of this. And I think they're going to do this without ever tanking. There will be no shame in what they're doing. I think they'll be able to have fun, and it's going to be fun to watch some like young prospects develop. But that is what I think. I want to know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is definitely a different video. I didn't want to take on the spin of why the Rockets are so bad. I kind of want to make it more positive and see what exactly they can do. Let me know down in the comments, because they have a long way to go, and there's obviously a lot of things that could go right or wrong in this whole scenario. But let me know what you guys think about it and comment who you want me to do next. And as always, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace!